Do you have travel plans for 2025? Perhaps you're traveling for work. Perhaps you travel for work all the time. Perhaps you love to travel but haven't had the opportunity and are hoping that this year is going to be the year you get to go abroad. Or perhaps you're learning English because you want to travel. Whatever your reason is for being here today, we are going to go through some common phrases and common vocabulary that you will come across when going through an airport. So what you might be asked, what the signs might say, what to answer when you are asked specific questions. There are many things to consider when you go traveling. Your documents that you need, what to pack, what to take with you, what you're going to do when you get there, how you're going to get from the airport to the hotel. So I want to provide you with a bit of peace of mind today by helping you with the English side of things. What to say, what to expect, and some vocabulary that might be new for you. Don't forget to like this video and share with a friend if you can for me, please. That would be fantastic. Subscribe if you have not already. And let's get started then with our first section of the video, which is at check-in. So when you arrive at the airport, the first thing you need to do is check in. Tell them I'm here, I'm ready for my flight. So I have some vocabulary for you initially. The check-in desk or check-in counter. Desk and counter are exactly the same meaning, just two different words, and it just means the place where the people sit ready to check you in. So you approach, you go to the check-in desk or counter, and you will tell them that you're here. This is my luggage, this is what I'm taking with me, here's my passport, and I'm traveling alone or with family. Boarding pass. Boarding pass is your ticket that shows that you've paid for this flight and where you're going to be sitting on the plane. This is called a boarding pass in English. This allows you to get onto the plane. You may also have a ticket or a receipt or a booking reference. This shows that you've paid for that place on the plane and you swap this at the check-in desk for your boarding pass. Your luggage or baggage, again, this is the same meaning, just two different words. Your luggage or baggage are the suitcases, the bags you bring with you on your trip. And finally, carry-on or checked. So you will have carry-on luggage or checked luggage. Carry-on means you take it onto the plane with you. You carry it onto the plane. And checked luggage means it goes underneath the plane and you don't see it again until you arrive at your destination. Now, when you talk to that person at the counter, of course, if you're in your own native country, probably you can speak your own native language. But let's say you have stopped somewhere and they don't speak your native language. You would, of course, need to speak English with them. These are some of the things you might need to say. I have a booking under the name Catherine, or your last name, or whoever booked the flight. I have a booking under just means the booking was made by this person, and therefore if you search that person in your records, you will find our booking under that name. I'd like to check in for my flight to. You can do this in two ways. You can say I'd like to check in for my flight to the destination where you're going, or I'd like to book in for flight number if you have the flight number. Typically, you don't need to say this because as soon as you hand over your documents, they will see the flight that you're supposed to be on. But sometimes they might ask you, where are you going today? And you will have to tell them where you are heading to, your final destination. Here is your boarding pass, and often, if they're a very helpful airline, they will circle certain things on your boarding pass. So this is that bit of paper that looks like a ticket, and it says, yes, this person is allowed on this flight. They will often circle your seat number, the time that the flight sets off, and you will also have a gate closing time. We will talk about the gate closing time later, but just for your reference, most airlines expect you to be at the gate 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours before the flight takes off. This is so that they can check that everyone is there and there are no problems with the flight. So that's not the time your flight takes off, that's the time you need to be there by. Are you someone that carries a lot of luggage with you when you travel, or do you pack light? When I say pack light, what I mean is you carry a few t-shirts, some shorts, pair of trousers, and that's it. If you don't pack light, you like to take lots of different outfits. Packing light refers to not having that much with you. If you are someone that likes to pack a lot when you go away, you might want to ask how much luggage you are allowed to take with you. For example, I think on most airlines it's 20 to 30 kilograms. If you have 35 kilograms, you have to pay for that extra 5 kilos. You may also want to ask if you need to weigh your hand luggage or carry-on bag. This refers to the bag that you will have in the plane with you. Most airlines do not ask you to weigh that, because if you can carry it, it's not that heavy. But sometimes they have a limit. I recently went on a trip and the limit was 7 kilos. And I didn't take any checked-in baggage. I only took carry-on baggage. So it was quite difficult for me to fit my shoes, my towel, my book in a 7-kilogram bag. But I managed it somehow. Another way you might ask this is the baggage allowance. So rather than the weight that is allowed, or how much weight can I take with me, how much luggage can I check in, you might ask what is the baggage allowance? Baggage allowance, and this refers to how many bags, how heavy the bags are allowed to be. Is there an extra charge for overweight baggage? So as I said, if you've got 5 kilos too much, then you need to pay for those 5 kilos. What time does boarding begin? Now, boarding refers to getting onto the plane. So this process of going from the airport to the plane is the boarding phase. And it can take between 20 minutes to an hour, depending how big the plane is, how many people, how many staff. So the boarding might begin at 2 p.m., but actually your flight takes off at 3:30. Is this a direct flight, or do I need a transfer? Now, typically, you would know this before getting to the airport, because the person that booked your flight, or if that was you, knows what you booked. You can select when you purchase a flight if you want a direct or transfer. I always try to book a direct flight because transfers can be stressful. What do I mean by transfer? Well, if you have to stop in a country and swap to another airline, or the country you're going to, there is no direct flight from your country, so you have to stop midway and continue. For example, most UK flights to America or Asia have to stop somewhere like Dubai, and you get off in the airport in Dubai and you wait maybe an hour and you get on your next flight to your final destination. This is called a transfer. And there will be a transfer desk in every airport where you can ask, you can get help about where you're going. Security check. I think everyone's worst part of the airport, because you have to take everything off and they look inside your bags and it can be a nightmare. The security checkpoint is where you go through this procedure. So you might see big signs that say security checkpoint. Metal detector checks for metallic objects, things made of metal. So if you have a belt on, they'll run the wand over you. This is a metal detector, and they'll check that you have got a belt on and it is made of metal. X-ray, these are those big They kind of remind me of Star Wars or something like that. They're either round and you step inside and you put your arms up like this, or it's a gate, and as you walk through the gate, it scans your body and tries to figure out if you have any unknown packages on you. This is an X-ray scanner, and usually if that goes red, then someone will pat you down and metal detect you. So pat you down is when they go along your arms, they go down your legs, and they check, does this person have anything on them that feels strange, feels suspicious? Typically the men get patted down by a man and the women get patted down by a woman. The last flight I went on, I was wearing a very big jacket. So I got patted down because it looked like I was trying to hide something. Liquid restrictions. Liquid restrictions. So a restriction is a limit that you are allowed. And liquids on a plane, you are only allowed, I think it's 50 mil or sometimes 100 milliliters of liquid. So if you have not organized that before, when you get to the security checkpoint, they will throw away anything that is over that amount, that limit, that restriction. You might need to ask, is there a limit to the amount of liquid I can carry through? So have it on your body and carry it. These trays that they give you to put your items in are referred to as bins. So you might want to say something like, I'm going to place my laptop in a separate bin. So all of my jacket, my passport, my bag are in this bin, and my laptop is separated in this bin. Usually they ask you to do that as well. They will say, any electrical goods, put in a separate bin. Do I need to remove my jacket for the scan? You might ask. Or do I need to remove my shoes, my belt? I never remove anything unless they tell me to because I can't be bothered to take it all off if I don't have to. But if they tell me to, of course I follow the rules. And to set off an alarm means to trigger, to turn the alarm on for some reason. So if you wear a lot of jewelry or you have a watch or you have a belt on, this might set off an alarm and they have to check you, pat you down, check that you don't have anything else on your body. So in the boarding area where your boarding gate is, and usually you have to know which number boarding gate you are at, because every flight will leave from a different gate. It's like going to a football game or a concert. You have to enter through a specific door, a specific gate. Same thing in an airport. So the gate is the area where the passengers board the plane, get on the plane. A flight delay means the flight is not going to be on time. Something has happened that means it won't leave on time. This could be a number of things. It could be something really small. I remember when I was younger, I went on holiday with my family and we were delayed 1 hour because someone had dropped their toothbrush and it had got caught between the door and the lock, so the door wouldn't lock properly. I would hate to be that person and realize you're the cause of the delay. Your toothbrush is the cause of the delay. Announcement. So this is when you hear a person speaking through the speakers telling you something. Actually, it's really difficult to understand what they say in airports because one, there's always an accent, quite a heavy accent, but two, the audio is really bad. Their speakers are really bad, so it's very difficult to understand if they're talking about your flight, someone else's flight. And waiting lounge. Waiting lounge refers to where everyone sits and waits. So you might need to ask some of these questions. These are very handy for trying to figure out where you need to be in the airport. What gate is my flight departing from? So where does it leave from? What number gate do I need to be at? Has the flight been delayed? Can you confirm if the flight number blah 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 is on time? This person should be able to look on their system and tell you if it's delayed or not. How much longer until boarding starts? Potentially you've been sat waiting for a very long time and you're thinking to yourself, have I missed my flight? Why are we waiting so long? So you might need to ask, what time does boarding start? And this final question is very helpful. Are there any refreshments near the gate? Because depending on how the airport is set up, sometimes all of the food and drinks are at the beginning. Once you go through security, they're all there. Once you get to your gate, there is nothing. And if you have a 12-hour flight with no food, you're going to be hungry. So you might want to ask a staff member before you take the 20-minute journey to your gate if there are any refreshments, if there's any food or drinks near your gate. If you have had a flight delay, you might want to ask about your connecting flight. So remember I spoke about transfers. Well, if you've only got a 2-hour window between the time your first flight lands and the time your second flight takes off, but your first flight is delayed an hour, your window is now only 1 hour. It's very small. So you need to know if that flight is still on time and if you need to run, if you need to hurry through the airport. Most airlines allow you to request compensation when there has been a delay. And by compensation, we mean some sort of voucher, gift card that gives you money back and allows you to be more comfortable whilst you wait. So usually if it's under, I don't know the exact rule, but let's say it's under 8 hours delayed, you get some sort of food discount or you get £20 to spend in the restaurant. This is your compensation. You can claim that, and each person that is waiting gets £20 in the restaurant. If it's longer than this, 8, 10, 12 hours, you may be entitled to more. So I remember I was flying back to the UK, I think, and we stopped in Dubai. And the flight was so delayed that I missed my flight from Dubai to the UK. So not only did I get free food vouchers, I got a free night in a hotel. I got like an overnight kit that had toothbrushes, toothpaste, pajamas, something else, can't remember. But they looked after me very well. So you are very well entitled to ask, is there any compensation for this delay? You're on the plane, you have boarded the plane, everything's fine, they've checked your baggage, you haven't got any weapons or liquids over 100 milliliters, you're on the plane. Do you like flying or not? I personally quite enjoy flying, but I feel guilty about the environmental side effects of flying. I feel guilty about the pollution, the carbon dioxide that's created. So when I can, if possible, I try to take the train or public transport instead of a flight. But sometimes you can't avoid it. You have to fly. And in those cases, I enjoy it. It gives me time to think about things. You don't have Wi-Fi on the plane unless you pay for it. So it's time away from social media. For me, it's quite a nice experience. Watch a few films, have a nap. So some vocabulary you will need. Of course, seatbelt in a car comes across your body and it's what keeps you safe in an accident. Interesting fact, actually, seatbelts were invented for men, and to this day, they are still created for men and they're not adjusted for women. So very interesting fact. So most cars have a male tested seatbelt, not a female tested seatbelt. But anyway, the next one is overhead compartment. Overhead compartment, which is, as it suggests, a compartment is a space and overhead is above your head. So these spaces above your head in a plane where you can put your luggage, store your bag, your laptop, whatever you have with you, these would go in the overhead compartment. In-flight entertainment sounds like they have musicians that are going to play for you during your flight. But no, it just means the little TV screen on the back of the seat. Some planes have them, some planes don't. And often there's movies and music that you can watch and listen to. And finally, tray. Table is just the tray that pulls down on the back of your seat so you can put your drinks or your food on the table. So some phrases you might need in the plane then. Is it okay to recline my seat? Recline means to go backwards. And of course, if you move your seat backwards, this affects the person behind you. You don't have to ask, but it might be polite to ask. When will you be serving snacks and drinks? Or when will food be served? Served means to give it to you in your seat. So when will I get food? Can I get an extra blanket, pillow, or pair of headphones? And if you are traveling for business, I've not yet had the luxury of traveling business class, but if you are traveling for business, you might have access to the Wi-Fi, or you might have free Wi-Fi during your flight. So in those cases, you might want to ask what the Wi-Fi package looks like or how you can access the Wi-Fi. After landing, so we've arrived at our destination. We're ready for our conference, our holiday, our sightseeing, whatever it is we are here to do. The arrival gate, as it suggests, is where people arrive. So if someone is meeting you, perhaps you have a taxi already booked. Perhaps the hotel is picking you up. Perhaps someone from your company has sent a driver to collect you and take you to the location. They will meet you at the arrival gate because that is where everyone arrives to the country. Baggage claim. So if you checked your baggage, if you have luggage that was checked in when under the plane, you have to collect this at the baggage claim. And this is where you have a conveyor belt, rotating conveyor belt that brings your luggage out of the plane, and you always have to fight people to get your luggage. I always try and avoid having checked baggage if possible, but sometimes you need to take more than just one bag. Immigration, I think everyone knows this word because it's used in a lot of different contexts, and it's similar in a lot of different languages. Immigration just refers to allowing the country to know that you are here and what your purpose is of being here. So everyone has to pass immigration, even if it's your own country. They have to know you're in the country. Customs declaration form. Some countries require you to fill out a customs form, some do not. So this is where you state if you have anything that you might need to inform the country about. So for example, anything biological, typically you need to let them know if you're bringing into the country. So animals, plants, food. These biological products could affect the system in that country in some way. For example, I know that Australia has very high customs requirements. In Australia's history, this biological product was brought to Australia and it killed a lot of the species, the native species in Australia, because that animal that was brought had different infections, different diseases that the animals in Australia had never experienced before. And because Australia is an island, they're very, very strict on what you can and cannot bring into the country. So if you have something like that, you will have to declare this at customs and fill out a customs declaration form, just saying, I have this product and this is why. Another reason is if you have too much money. I know for the UK, if you bring over £10,000 to the UK, you will be asked why. Why are you bringing so much money here? So you would have to declare that at customs. You might need to ask, where is the baggage claim area? Do I need to fill out a customs form? Are there any taxis or shuttles available? What is a shuttle? Well, some hotels or some cities organize a free or very, very low cost bus that goes back and forth all day from the airport to the city or to the hotel. This would be called an airport shuttle bus, and you can take this bus to where you want to go. What about a transfer then? You've arrived and you need to get to the transfer desk. Of course, you can say, I have a connecting flight. That's the name of it. A flight that connects here and takes me somewhere else. Where is the transfer desk? And a couple of other phrases that I want to give you today are related to packing. So do you like to pack early or do you pack last minute? And packing last minute just refers to the night before, filling your bag and off you go. Packing light, as I discussed earlier, refers to not taking too much. You don't pack too much. You would never say the opposite, pack heavy, but you would say, I like to pack light, or actually I take a lot when I'm traveling. One more thing that I wanted to mention that I actually thought about after editing the video, and I've edited this in here, is why we don't say traveling in the airport, but we say traveling through. Well, because the phrase traveling in, when we use the preposition in, it suggests that we're seeing things, we're going on adventures, trying something new, experiencing that country, that place. Traveling in England, traveling in Egypt, traveling in my hometown. But with an airport, we're not seeing things, experiencing things in the airport. It's just somewhere we need to go through in order to get to that traveling experience. So I hope there were some useful phrases in there today for you. One thing as well that you should definitely practice before traveling anywhere is modal verbs. For example, can, could, would. If you use these in your questions, in your sentences, you're going to come across more polite. And in my experience, if you're polite, you're more likely to get a better service. So instead of saying, where's the taxis? You might say, could you show me where I get a taxi from? Instead of asking, where's my baggage? Can you tell me where my baggage is? Or could you show me where I pick up my baggage for flight number 758? Please like and share this video if you have not already. Subscribe for me if you are new here. Please feel free to recommend some videos in the comments as well if there's a topic you want me to go through. If you have any questions about today's video, also let me know down below and I will answer them as soon as I see them. Thank you everyone so much for your support. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye.